How to make your own Oxymels. I'm going to go over how to make your own Oxymels at home. For this video, I made two different varieties, one with elderberry flowers and one with red raspberry leaf. An Oxymel is a mix of honey, vinegar, and herbs or spices, translated from Latin as acid and honey. What you'll need: raw honey. I get mine from local beekeepers or farmers markets. Apple cider vinegar. I use the Bragg brand, but any kind will do. Dried herbs or spices, a kitchen stove for pasteurizing, and any normal kitchen utensils. Optional things like Star San for sanitizing your bottles, and a scale to keep track of the amount of herbs used. Sanitizing. Star San was listed as optional because you can sanitize things by boiling them, but since I have a bunch on hand, I use Star San, which is an acid-based no-rinse sanitizer. The main benefit is you can make a 5-gallon bucket of it and dunk everything in there, and then take it out, and after a minute, it's ready to use. The first method is to add all of the raw ingredients without pasteurizing. I'm using red raspberry leaf for this example. Here's an example of the apple cider vinegar containing the mother, and make sure that the label has the acidity at least 5%. The acid is the key to extracting the medicinal compounds for the Oxymel. I'm going to add 150 milliliters into the first mason jar. Then I'll scoop 150 milliliters of raw honey into the second mason jar and label each of them with the amounts just to keep track of the recipe. Next, add the contents of all 3 jars into one main jar. After everything is combined, give it a good shake to mix everything up. Then you can cover it with a towel and keep it somewhere that it won't be exposed to light, as some compounds can degrade when exposed to UV light. The second method is to pasteurize the herbs. Heat your vinegar to around 161 degrees Fahrenheit or a little higher, what I did. Then add your dry herbs into the pot and let it simmer, and then cool. You want it to be around room temperature when you add your honey to the mix. Make sure to sanitize your containers and tools before you use them. In this case, I'm using a 1-gallon glass jar. I'm going to use a funnel to get everything into the glass jar. Once your herbs and vinegar are in there, you can add your honey. In this recipe, I'm using 950 milliliters of vinegar and an equal amount of raw wildflower honey. I recommend heating your honey prior to use so it can travel through the funnel and make it easier to mix with the vinegar. You don't want to mix it any higher than 105, 110 degrees, and that will keep its status as raw honey. Once everything is in the jar, give it a good mix. You want to cover these up with a cloth or a towel of some sort to keep it from light exposure. Another thing to add is if you have metal lids like I do, put some wax paper under the lid to keep the vinegar from interacting with the metal. Maceration. Let the mixtures sit in their containers for 6 weeks. I have airlocks on my jars just in case any fermentation kicked off, but there was no activity throughout the whole process, so I didn't really need them. You want to mix the contents up as often as you can. I tried to do it daily, but if you miss a few days, it's really not a big deal. Really, you're just letting the acid from the vinegar and the honey extract the compounds into the Oxymel. Bottling. After about 6 weeks, you can begin the process of bottling your Oxymels. Start by sanitizing your containers and letting them dry on a towel or a bottle rack if you have one. I also sanitize my straining cloth as well as anything else involved in the whole process. You want to strain your mixture by pouring the contents into a pot and wringing out the cloth to get all of the Oxymel out that you can. Once you have your strained Oxymel, transfer it to a measuring cup to make it easier to pour. Finally, you can close up your containers and label them with the contents. And there you have it, homemade Oxymels. Cheers and enjoy.